Gotta clear out this throat bite. Morning, neighbor, morning.
Never joke, never joke, never joke. Oh, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now know what you can even money, money, never money, money, never money, money. You can keep, you can even money when you've been a corrupt. There be money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. Then you had your pocket full. In a biz there be money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money, never. Money, never, money. Money, never, money. Money, now know what you conniving money. Never, never joke. Never, never joke. Never, never joke. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a guild piece. A 2 pound note and a guild piece. A 2 pound note and a guild piece. This all the money that me walk for. I said money, never. Money, never, money. Money, never, money. Money, now I don't want you can I be money. Oh, Joseph.
Kissed by the warm breezes of the Caribbean, this Orange Beauty has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, large modern kitchen, and a living room with an open concept. This lovely home is within walking distance to the sea, where you can take a dip in the salt waters and feel refreshed. Verone's Cheerful Country Manor, located at Tushin, West Coast Demerara. Bookings are available on Airbnb. Contact Veronica at 516-524-1559 for more details. We hope to see you soon.
yesterday or you passed last night? Are you sleep good? You hope so, you know. Because every day you have to have renewed energy and strength to live in this country of ours. Yes. We have to renew our energy. And so I hope that you were able to renew your energy in the course of the night. I hope most of you have smiles, if not all of you have smiles on your face. You have something to think back through. Yeah. Last night I slept well. Last night was a blast. Last night was quite memorable. I wonder what a dream means. And stuff like that. Share the life. Y'all share the damn life, man. Smash the button. Morning. Share the life. Please and thanks. Subscribe. A lot of people were saying, lots of people saying they're not getting notifications recently. And so they're saying it's likely that others are not getting notification. And that too is true. And that is why it's important that when you come on, you share the life. You know the regulars, right? You know the regulars. And if you don't see the regulars, then you simply share to them, along with your other folks that you would share to. I can't tell you exactly why these things happen, but they happen. And there are things that I believe perhaps I don't have control over, and so I don't lose sleep over it. That's how I see things, right? There's that, what we call it, whatever that says, God grant me the serenity to what? Change the things I can change and recognize those that I can't change and leave the backside alone. Something like that. Yes. I got a kind of attitude. If I think I can change something, I will put my all into changing it. I will dedicate my energies, okay, to bringing about that change which I think is necessary. But if I look at it and I realize, you might lose your life in this thing and you ain't going to change it still. Why bother? Right? I might not be able to change it, but what I might be able to do is educate people about it. Good? And together, we all might be able to change it. Or we can find a route around it. Sometimes it's not everything you can go through. You have to go around. Right? And so when you come upon obstacles, you have to make that assessment. Is this something I can go through or I can go around? For example, you are not getting, we are not getting knockoff of the life when we are touching these topics that are causing people emotional stress and strain and psychological distress. We are not getting knocked off. Because I realize, listen, if you can't go through this thing, let's go around it. And so I'm going around it. As I said, knock wood. For over a month now, we have not been knocked off once. But that luxury, if I call it that, certainly comes at a cost. Right? Valin Kendall said she didn't get any notification. Well, thank you for being here, Valin. Share to somebody who you might suspect didn't get a notification. Yes, it comes at a cost. And they say there is no free meal in this life. There's no free meal. Everything comes at a cost. If it doesn't come at a cost to you, it comes at a cost to somebody else. Yeah, you get a nice phone, Mike. Yeah, it's a free phone. Yeah, auntie sent it for me. Do you know what your auntie went through to get that phone? Do you know how many sleepless nights she had at work doing the graveyard shift to get you that phone? You don't know. But you see it is free. And so you don't place real value on it. You don't place real value on it because it's free. Whereas it should be priceless. Buy this phone, eh? This phone priceless. Buy it. Me and auntie must go to all kind of things to get me this phone. It might have a certain value in the store, but it is priceless because of the efforts of your aunt. These are things we must consider in our goings on, in our daily happenings, right? a lot of us sit and we say, listen, we are enjoying freedom and democracy in this society. We are free. I'm free to do what I want. Makes me no big man. Guyana is a democracy. You hear all of these things. But has anyone stopped to think of what went into the process of getting you to this point of quote-unquote freedom? A lot of people like talk about blood, sweat, and tears, but you really understand blood, sweat, and tears? Your foreparents, your ancestors, they really lost blood, sweat, and tears to get us to this point of freedom. And what do we do with that freedom? What do we do with their sacrifices? We see it as a free meal. We take it for granted. We can get up and go and come and do as we like, within the confines of the law. We take that for granted. But there was a time when they had to get up at the whims and fancies of massa and go and come according to instructions of massa. And they decided, listen, we are willing to lay our lives down to change this thing, to change the status quo. Because we would hate to see our children and their children live like us. And revolutions were formed and rebellions took place. And over a period of time, they got us to this point where we can talk about us being free. Free from bondage, at least physical bondage. But what are we doing to honor that sacrifice and to maintain the freedom from physical bondage and to contribute to freedom from mental bondage? What are we doing? We ain't doing nothing. Lots of us are doing nothing. Right? Many of us are doing nothing. We just sitting back and relaxing, chill, cock up your foot. Boy! Last time, hey, I been put about it last time, it was a blast, boy. The man had Henny there for lunch, dog. You understand? I drink till I drunk and I vomit up. When I catch myself about 2 o'clock this morning, I lay down on the ground in my yard. How many of you have heard that and how many times you've heard it? That's what we see our freedom to be. Yeah. We had the crew beat the cricket last night, boy. We get to go in the VIP stand. The one from Ministry of Culture dropped 10 tickets away. You know, we just roll light, we just roll dark. And we just eat up the free food and drink up the rum, the expensive liquor. What are we doing to change that mentality of our people? Are we explaining to them that they have allowed themselves to be a different kind of slave? That they're walking into a different kind of bondage? A bondage where there are no physical restraints on you, but you're mentally restrained. Like I said yesterday, the PPP decide we can get hundreds of thousands, hundreds of y'all jobs to work 10 days a month for $40,000. 10 days a month for $40,000. And they have you going through a motion. Because you turn up on your days to make that 10 days. You have nothing to do or you do very little. And whatever you do is not enhancing your skill. It's not challenging you mentally. But you're just going through a pace. And at the end of the month, you push your hand and you collect $40,000 and you say, the PPP doing nice to me, boy. This is the best government for Guyana. and you cause the collation. Granger didn't do nothing for me. They only used to come to me community when they want votes. They also only come here when they want votes. But a person who is not mentally bonded, who is not mentally enslaved, can look back and say, but Granger established child care centers in some black communities so that we can carry our children and leave them so that we can pursue education, those of us who dropped out of school. The man was empowering us. Because when I get my education, nobody can take that from me. I can use that to earn. Granger established night schools in certain areas that I could go, even if I'm working, I can go and enhance my qualification. There's empowerment. Granger established certain programs for skill training, that even if I am not academically inclined, I can learn to do things with my hands. But no, so long as he didn't put cash in your hand, he ain't do nothing for you. And that's how we see it. So we take our freedom for granted. We don't really understand what freedom is. I'll tell you something. The other morning I cussed out one of them trenchies because he said black people didn't do anything to enhance their lives and their children's lives when they were in government under the Fox Burnham and other PNC government. I cuss you out. Because he did wrong, right? But he was only wrong on a level. Let's keep that in mind. He was only wrong on a level. And let me point out to you where he was wrong. He was wrong because in the book of African Guyanese, our lives are enhanced when we are educated and when we provide education for our children or opportunities for our children to be educated. We are living an enhanced life when we can command a job in the public service or civil service, whatever you want to call it. That for us is enhancement. And let me explain the importance of that enhancement for us. There was a time when many of our people couldn't even dream of getting into the public service. They couldn't even dream of going into a school building, into a learning facility to educate themselves. And so once we got off of the plantation with the sacrifices of the ancestors and we became free and we can now, and we struggled and we are now allowed into classrooms to get an education, we say we're going to be the best at it. And so we put great store, great value on education and educating our children. And then we know that we couldn't get into certain offices, public service offices and so on. And through our education, we use that as our stepping stone to get into those offices. And so over time, we became quote unquote the controllers of those offices. We are the managers. We are the supervisors. We are the accountants and so on. And so African Guyanese black people saw that all of that as achievement and enhancement. And don't let anybody take it away from us. So we have achieved, we continue to achieve, and we continue to enhance our children's lives and our lives. But is it the kind of enhancement that will really serve us and keep us liberated? That's the question. Is that the kind of enhancement that will serve us and keep us liberated? Are we multifaceted? Have we focused on enhancing our lives from all angles? We still rely on our competition to feed us. Because while we are thriving in the public service, or we were, because enough of us get kicked out and so on, and so we might be just blowing in the wind. But while we controlled the white-collar jobs, we are dependent on the blue-collar man, the working class, the farming class, to feed us. So we didn't enhance ourselves and our children in that area. And whatever his name was, that Trenchi, could make that argument, because this is something I always say to people. And it is something I'm saying to you, and I'm recommending it again to you. In the years of Forbes Burnham and the PNC in power, a lot of Indians didn't choose to go to the public service to work. They were never interested in public service work. They took the teaching that once you own the land, you own the country. And they didn't only see it as owning the land and owning the country. They saw it as owning the means of production. And so when you own the means of production, you own your country. So while a lot of them were not in the public service and were even dropping out of school, they weren't, Guyanese didn't pay much attention to school, At least a certain generations of Indo-Guyanese didn't pay much attention to school. Once you went to first form, first standard, second standard, they're out of school. They're chasing heads of cattle. They're herding sheep and goats. And they're planting garden and throwing cast net. Right? Us who were after education and were being educated looked down upon them. They're not nothing. They can't write their name, they have to use thumbprint. But while certain generations of the Indo-Guyanese were doing that, they were creating enhancement in certain sections of the society, certain sectors of the society for them. They were farming gardens. They were doing cash crops. And when they go to the market with their cash crops, their earnings were much, much more than those of us who were sitting in managerial positions in the public service. They in turn took those earnings and invested them into things. Who wanted to do bigger business than cash crop farming? Did that. Who wanted to buy motor vehicles and resell them? Did that. They took some of that very earnings and they invested in the next generation of Indo-Guyanese for education. They invested in Indo-Guyanese. They invested in their offspring. Later generations, they invested in their education. And so they, too, have enhanced themselves. They enhanced themselves from indentured servants to the producers of food, to the owners of the productive capacity, to becoming educated, academia, and say they have different levels of enhancements. While for us our greatest achievement is get that education, control the public service. Right? We have to know, because they were doing that when they were out of political power. And when political power was gifted to them, what they did? They kicked many of us out of the public service, replaced us with their now educated next generations. And so they control the public service. They control the factors of production, and so to a large extent they control the country. Y'all think you're talking foolishness? Let's do some analysis. When the coalition went into office in 2015, Jack Dill stood up and he said, don't worry them. We can get them out in 5 years. Don't worry them. The economy will tank. They ain't going to get foreign exchange. A lot of people must have thought this ballet demon talking nonsense. This ballet demon talking nonsense. But the point was proven when artificial shortages were created in the foreign currency market in this country. When businessmen and women were hollering and bawling that they ain't getting foreign currency to do international trade. Gobinganga of the central bank had to come out and say there's no shortage of currency. Then Finance Minister Winston Jordan said there's no shortage of currency. We have so much money in the system and so on. What was happening? Because they controlled the factors of production, including foreign currency. They hoarded them. They withheld them from the economy. They withheld them from the market. So the invisible hand of demand and supply was not working naturally. They created those shortages to pressure the Granger government, to cause the economy to tank. Because they had the capacity. And they still have the capacity. A lot of people are asking why the Granger government had to deal with certain business people who are aligned to the PPP. Because they had what the Granger government needs or needed. Why the PNC behave in a certain way, in and out of power? Why do they kowtow to the business class in this country? The business class which is predominantly Indo-Guyanese, because they have what the PNC needs. And all political party, quite frankly. Y'all could reason that out for me. What am I talking about? Farouk Hack. I got a problem with these hacks. Right? The ability to understand, to interpret, is so minuscule that they aggravate you with their utterances. Why don't you encourage the people to seek education? Learn a skilled trade. Poisonous stock. That's what this idiot is saying to me. Nevertheless, let's move on. So they were able to control the economy and still are able to control the economy. Right? They get political leaders to dance to their tunes because those political leaders need what they have. Political parties don't finance themselves. I'm telling you that. Political parties don't finance themselves. They look to the business community to finance them. And so, take for example, the majority of Georgetown is controlled by Indo-Guyanese businessmen. The big businessmen and women in the city are Indo-Guyanese, predominantly. And so when they say, I ain't said they said it, but when they say, or if they say, or if they only hinted to the PNC leadership, to the AFC leadership, well, I know about WPA. WPA is a whole rogue by itself. If they only hinted, if you support protest in this city, if you disrupt business in this city, we will withdraw our funding from you. we will not support you. You can't come to us and get contributions, financial and otherwise. They force the leadership of those political parties to rethink the strategy of protest. You're asking why they ain't getting major protests in the city? I'm explaining it. I ain't knocking nobody. All I'm saying is that political parties are looking out for their own financial interests because they need these business people to survive too. You notice the PPP, while they were in opposition, could have protested and go on bad? They didn't shut down the city. But they did other forms of protest. Right? They used the very businessmen to help them protest. The very businessmen withheld currency. The very businessmen cut back on trade. The very businessmen went to the event at Pegasus and turned up with placards against Granger. Right? And they were impactful and effective. The very businessmen right now are preventing protest because they are saying to opposition elements, you dare to protest and upset business in this city and see who's supporting you. I'll give you, you see, every time I come and I have certain discourses on this program, I give you the evidence. Right? I give you the evidence. Because as an educator, I believe I need to point you to the things when I talk. A couple of weeks ago, I'm not saying it is so, I don't know if it is so or not. I doubt whether it is so. And I will give my disclaimer like I usually do. I'm not a member of the PNC, much less the PNC leadership. So I can't really answer to what I'm about to say. But I can say that it has been placed in the public domain, I think through the Guyana Chronicle. There was an article a few weeks ago that says PNC is bankrupt. PNC doesn't have money. PNC couldn't pay their workers. Because at least one major businessman, check the Guyana Chronicle, I'm sure it is in the Guyana Chronicle, at least one major businessman withdrew his support because he doesn't like the approach of Norton and the PNC to dealing with the government. Check it. And I'm paraphrasing, so if I don't get everything correct, forgive me. I ain't ever going to look for the article. But you can do your research as students. Go do your research and you will see that article, which alleges that the PNC doesn't have money, it doesn't have financial resources, because at least one major businessman who disagrees with the approach of the party to dealing with his government has withdrawn his or her support. Right? Now that financial support of that particular business person or entity, if we were to assume the article is correct, the withdrawal of that support could cripple some efforts of the major political party to hold his government accountable, assuming that this person withdrew their support, doesn't want them to hold the government accountable. Are you following me? So when you don't see big protests in Georgetown, it doesn't mean that the political party doesn't recognize the value of protest. They have to weigh between the value of protest and the value of financial contributions for other programs and projects of the party. And so they have to weigh the benefits as against the disadvantages of protest. Because if we protest, we will drive these Indo-Guyanese supporters, financial and otherwise, away from the party, and we will be wounded because they control the resources. So here we're gonna happen. We ain't gonna take to the streets because we gotta get their support. We're going to find other ways and means of trying to hold the government accountable. And so again, just like the PPP got these workers in the communities running around a wheel like a hamster, a lot of our political leaders and parties, activists and so on, are running around like hamsters because the people really control where they go, what they do, how they do it, are the people with the purse. I know some people's toes might be getting mashed, some people might be angry with me, but I owe it to myself and to the citizens to help them to understand the politics of this country. Right? We gotta get it. I have to help you to understand the politics of this country. And so when you're educated, you can fashion your approaches. You can fashion your approaches. So if you want protest in the city, if you believe that protest is going to turn things around in the city, then you have to look to those who are willing and able to protest. You can't hold your head and say, I'm a PNC boy, I'm a PNC girl. I'm an AFC boy, I'm an AFC girl. My party says not to protest, I'm not going to protest. There's not political allegiance. There's cultism. You were in an organization like, what I call it, the People's Temple, Jim Jones, that you can decide for yourself that, hey, protests can really shake up the status quo in this country. And so regardless of who is going to protest to bring that change, I will stand with them. But when it comes to elections day, I know where I will be voting. When my party needs my support, I will be giving it to them. But I recognize the value of protest action, and so I will go there and I will support protest action which I identify with. I believe that the voters list needs to be cleaned. And the only way we are getting these people to pay attention to the fact that the voters list needs to be cleaned is by protest. I will go there and protest. How many of us are thinking like that? Professor David Hinds said last night on this program while I was there, the WPA gives its members, its leadership, the latitude to act in the best interests of their communities. Maybe other political parties don't, I don't know. So when I decided I was going to start a program named BUXTONIAN Morning Time, I didn't have to get any, or Kams Tv, I didn't have to get any okay from political leadership at WP. And when I say I'm going in front of GCOM and protest with the people who have been calling for boots on the ground, I didn't have to consult with the WP. Because I recognize that is action that is necessary, I also recognize that is action that the WPA supports because Takuma Ogonse was on the stage at Golden Grove. And he said the WPA believes that you have to confront this matter of the voters list before going to any election whatsoever, local government or national. And so I knew in my mind, well, hey, the actions I'm about to take and I will take are actions that my party supports anyhow. But I didn't have to consult with my party. Whether or not they like it, I am out there. And when people were calling on the program and still are calling on the, well, they don't call for boots on the ground no more, because I realized, like, we've been calling for boots on the ground, but we really are not ready to put boots on the ground, because this man has gone out there now for 5 or 6 days, and we have not been able to put our boots on the ground. So I'm not seeing a lot of people calling for boots on the ground now. But I'm saying, when viewers were calling every day, every second of the day, for boots on the ground, I didn't stop to ask them, which political party do you support? I recognize, or I believe I recognize, that there was a certain section of the Guyanese society that was ready and willing to confront the issues by protest. And I offered myself to lead that protest. And I'm out there for 5 or 6 days, and I'm not seeing the same set of people who are saying boots on the ground. But the few of us who are out there, when the list gets cleaned, because I have no doubt that list has to be cleaned. When the list gets cleaned, and when there are free and credible elections in this country, and people start to enjoy a better quality of life because they get to elect a government of their choice and they hold them accountable. All of these people who are taking freedom for granted will continue to take freedom for granted. I said we get a better country now. How does a better country come around? How? We have to stop taking things for granted. We have to recognize the sacrifices that were made and the sacrifices that are being made and the sacrifices that will have to be made to maintain this freedom that we got. No, Henry Rodney, I'm not saying one business is controlling the PNCR. I didn't say that. I said that Indo-Guyanese, referencing the Trenchy early yesterday or the morning before we said black people didn't, African Guyanese didn't do anything to enhance the lives of themselves and their children. While partially incorrect, was partially right, because I was showing the importance of the different sectors, the different types of enhancement, if we are going to maintain the freedom that our ancestors left us. And in making that argument, I was showing about who controls financial and other resources and how they control the actions of politicians and political parties. And I refer the article which I believe is in Guyana Chronicle, saying that the PNC is cash-strapped because this one businessman has withdrawn his support. I'm sure there's not one businessman who will support the PNC party like the PNC. But maybe that is a major financer compared to the others. And I also made the disclaimer that I'm not PNC, so I don't know what's happening over there. And I don't know if this article is accurate or not. It could be politicking. But I use it as an example for teaching. Right, Henry Rodney? I hope you're clear on that now. I don't want y'all go and say I throw stones at the PNC. Right? Farouk Haq is saying very few people support me on my views. And that is why I hardly have anyone supporting the protests. 4 or 5 people with backyards. That's your view, and you're entitled to it. Because I also have a view that says a lot of people are not on the protest line because they are fearful. The very freedom which I'm saying we need to protect is taken away from us, not with shackles, not with physical restraints, but mental restraints. That's my part of my argument this morning. Because we allow fear to cripple us. My daughter works with the U.S. Embassy. I am afraid to go and protest because she may lose her job. My son works with the Canadian Embassy. I'm afraid to go and protest because he may lose his job. My husband works with the British Embassy, British High Commission. I'm afraid to protest because he may lose his job. My son is a scholarship student, or my grandson is a scholarship student. I'm afraid to protest because they may withdraw the scholarship from him. I see lawlessness taking place in the office that I work. I'm afraid to protest. I'm afraid to even share the information with people who might make it public because I'm afraid of losing my job. Fear has crippled the whole large section of the Guyanese society, especially people looking like me. And so it is not that they disagree with my views. It is that they don't have the mental fortitude, if I can call it that. They don't have the boldness, the temerity, the gumption to go there and stand up and say, whatever, what I say, kesera, kesera. Whatever will be, will be. They don't have that gumption. I don't blame them. To each his own. I don't see hundreds of people behind me out there. But who knows, Mr. Hack? Hundreds of people might be sending me messages of support. Hundreds of people might be contributing to what I do out there. Because I certainly can't do it alone. So again, I'm saying that some people lack the ability to reason, to interrogate things, and so I have to help out sometimes. Right? This is gumption. This is temerity. This is recognizing how you fight to protect your freedom. Yesterday, Sharon and I were called to go to Pretty Paul Singh Investments. Because the workers there had a standoff with management. Right? The workers there have a standoff with management. What was the standoff? They were being mistreated. Some of them worked with Pretty Paul Singh for 23 years. Some worked for 18, some worked for 19. Many of them say that they built that company from ground up. They did all the grunt work to get Pretty Paul Singh to where it is now. And now that the owner has arrived, as we like to say in Guyana, he treats them like the scum of the earth. Let me point out to you, the majority of them black. The majority of them are African Guyanese. Single parent mothers. Fathers trying to provide for their families and so on. They are being mistreated. They are being spoken to anyhow, like children, like indentured slaves, and so on. Anyhow they're treated. And they decided among themselves that one of the ways to protect their rights as workers is to get unionized. And they started a process of identifying a union and applying for membership. Pratipal Singh came to understand that these people were making moves to defend their rights as workers through unions. He called them to a meeting, he abused them verbally, allegedly, and he told them, if you want a union, go behind the gate. In other words, if you want a union, you can't work here. Many of them said, well, give us our severance pay and we will go behind the gate, beyond the gate. He sent them all to personnel, HR. You go to HR. He gave HR whatever instructions. When they turned up for work yesterday, or was it the day before? When they turned up for work yesterday, 5 of them were locked out. 5. You know why 5? They were seen as the strong-headed ones. They were seen as leaders. They were seen as the ones who were going to rock the boat and bring the others with them to rock the boat. And so they locked out 5. And they wanted to make examples of that 5. If you stand up like that 5, we are going to put you out of bread. It's like these business people saying with the saying to the PNC, again, I'm just referring to that article. I'm using it to teach. You represent the strength of this struggle. And we are going to banish you financially and otherwise. We're not going to give you our support. We're putting you off the plantation so that we can control and manipulate the masses to our benefit. Pratipal Singh is a small picture of what is happening in bigger Guyana. But you know what is the difference? All of the workers at Pratipal Singh say, well, if they get locked out, we going out. If they can't work, we ain't working. Give all of us our severance and put us behind the gate. That's what Pratipal Singh workers did. That is unity. That is struggle. That is how you defend your freedom and your rights. They put fear in front to say, hey, look how they knock off them 5. Buy me one falling down. Hey, look how they kill Kwame Wing. Buy me one falling down. Hey, look how they murder Ronald Waddle. Buy me one falling down. I got my family to live for. No. Those workers banded themselves together and they say, if one going, all going. Up to when we left there, that situation remained because the workers were saying, give us our severance now. We want it now. We ain't coming back Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday as you're proposing. We want our severance now. Hear the proposal. Y'all gonna get your severance next week, Tuesday. Y'all come to work in the meantime, we gonna pay. No, we want it now. If we get it knocked off, we want to get knocked off next week, Tuesday. Knock me off now. Give me the money now. And so the produce that you got there to be packaged and processed and all of that, let it suffer. Pratipal Singh, I am sure, by this morning, must be revisiting that decision. And so, our politicians, our members of parliament, our citizens, have to take another look at how they deal with the politics of this country. They have to take another look at how they deal with this apartheid government. Because so long as we remain divided, I am PNC and he is some WP, I can't support the protest that he is leading that should benefit all of us. I am AFC and they are PNC and I can't support what they are doing despite the fact it will benefit all of us. We get conquered. We get enslaved. We get restrained without the physical restraints. When Sri Lankans struggle, Sri Lankans struggle because they see themselves as Sri Lankans. When you have a struggle in Trinidad, despite the fact that they have the same almost ethnic situation in Trinidad, sometimes they put aside their political differences and they struggle because they see themselves as Trinidadians. When Guyanese have to struggle, we see ourselves as PNC, WPA, AFC, JFAP, Christian, Hindu, Muslim, Rastafarian, Seventh-day Adventist, Anglican, Pentecostal. Among the divisions that we have, we use all of them to weaken our struggle. And so we will continue to allow the few that got unity up there, the political bandits and prostitutes, as somebody called them the other day from Freedom House, they got unity, you know. They're all united in their minds of one thing. We're going to thief the resources of this country and we're going to punish the poor people. While the poor people have all of these divisions, they are united in that one thing. We're going to rob them. And let me tell you about robbing them. I said yesterday, every time the PPP is in office, social ills increase, suicide increases, murders increase, petty crime increase, serious crimes increase, assassinations, what you call them, hits increase, drug trading increase, trafficking in person increase. All of these social ills increase under the PPP whenever they're in office. You know what else increases? Corruption, thievery, embezzlement, fraud. White-collar crime and blue-collar crimes increase under the PPP. Right now, there is a fraud in excess of $3 million at the Enmore, what do they call it, Enmore Hope NDC, or Enmore whatever, Haslington NDC. Do you know that? $3 million plus, in excess of $3 million, cannot be accounted for by the accounting office of the Enmore, Haslington, wherever they call it, NDC. You think anybody get locked up yet? No. Why? Let me make you pay back our money. You look like a biddies. I wanna be. Let me call Anil and Anil go try and settle a matter. They're united in one thing. We're going to thief from the people. And if we get catch, we're going to protect one another. Y'all remember the one from the Deeds and Commercial Registry that thief the government money by giving herself increase in salaries? Where she went before the court, what the judge that looks like her say? Restitution. She still works there. She has to repay the salaries, but she's still employed here. The black man said, jailer. You think he's smarter than all of we? He insulted our education? Who dares him to insult our education and thinks that he can rob us? Jail him! Let's say you want to we protect them. Oh, you get family, you get picnic, your wife. Reality. And that $3 million, in excess of $3 million, that is unaccounted for, that has been fraudulently used, that has been embezzled, is only money collected through rates and taxes and so on. You know what else is happening over there? For more than a year, the NIS contributions have not been paid for the workers, and no money can be accounted for. So you have a whole lot of workers there and families that are going to be affected because should one of them become sick and they turn up to the NIS and benefits ain't got none because of contributions were being paid. Y'all recognize that? Y'all understand that? But I'm not sure that this has even made the media. Because the mainstream media is controlled by who? I'm talking about control of resources, right? The mainstream media is controlled by who? Yeah, we're not going to put the picture up on front page. I'm not going to put the picture up on the news. I'm not going to mention the name and the fact that there's a fraud at NDC in and more. No, we will not do that. We in power. We will not do that. Hey, let me cover on this thing, man. Do you know during the COVID grant, the distribution of the COVID grant, a leading East Coast organizer of the PPP, who was heading that distribution team, along with his assistant, they were found to have misappropriated, stolen millions of dollars. One of them by 2 SUV, one of them throwing up a mansion. Do you know that? What was recommended when they were caught? Restitution. Y'all didn't read any news, y'all didn't hear about it. Y'all talk to me, have you heard about that? They are agreed on one thing. They got unity in corruption. You do your thing, man. Once you don't get caught, we are right. If you get caught, we don't gonna punish you. We don't get a slap on the wrist. You pay back the thing, man. You put back the loot. Likewise, there's an NDC on East Bank that got a major fraud too. Y'all know that? There's an NDC on the East Bank that has a major fraud. Embezzlement and corruption. But have you read of it in the newspaper? I take your bet no. You're not going to hear about it because why? The news people, the people who control the media industry in this country, look like the people who committed the crimes. $13 million on the East Bank. I will get you the details not on today's program. It's 22 minutes past 8. 13 million is what has been misappropriated in the East Bank. You all hear anything about it? The media ain't gonna tell you these things. Number one, they might not know. Number two, when the owners of the media houses recognize that the people look like them, they say, no. This is an embarrassment for people. We can't publish this. The people at Peters Hall and Providence yesterday said they called MTV 65 or 69, whatever it is, 65. While they were protesting what was happening in their community with the broken sluice and the continual flooding that they are being affected by, the destruction of their furniture by floodwaters and so on, and no assistance from this thieving cabal. They called 65 to highlight it. 65 turned up and gave them a hatchet job. 65 didn't represent what they represented. They said I called Gordon Mosley, the big time host and media personnel and so on. They called Gordon Mosley and he paid them no mind. Gordon Mosley operates a media entity that is allegedly owned by one of the PPP oligarchs. I put in 2 and 2 together for y'all. I think he got the freedom in as much as he is an independent journalist to go out there and publish anything against his government. I hear a lot of y'all accusing God Mosley of switching from the coalition and switching into this and switching out of that. There are a few independent media workers and journalists and so on in this country. And most of them are called social media influencers. Because they ain't got no boss to tell them what to publish and not publish. Get that Kams Tv and put your hand up. Even Travis Chase in all of his fearlessness, let me call it that, has restraints. Because when the owners, the proprietors of AGP 67 say, hey, you can't publish and you want us to get a lawsuit, you got to pull back. Tell them I say that. I understand the industry. Tomorrow is Free Talk Friday. I'm going to leave some of this nastiness to talk about tomorrow. Baghdad's getting well-paved roads, better than the city. And the Fisher Bishop say, when the people in the city vote for the PPP, they're going to get good roads. The lines are open. 622-5933 is the number to call. 622-5933 is the number to call. The lines are open. And in case you have a doubt, you have a question, yes, I will be in front of Kingdom today.
Kissed by the warm breezes of the Caribbean, this orange beauty has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, large modern kitchen, and a living room with an open concept. This lovely home is within walking distance to the sea, where you can take a dip in the salt waters and feel refreshed. Verone's Cheerful Country Manor, located at Tushin, West Coast, Demerara. Bookings are available on Airbnb. Contact Veronica at 516-524-1559 for more details. We hope to see you soon.
Go, Claret, go, Claret, go. Go, Claret, go, Claret, go, Claret, go. A clean voters list or no election. A clean voters list or no election. Go, Claret, go, Claret, go, Claret, go. Compromise, no officials must go. Compromise, no officials must go. Go, Claret, go, Claret, go, Claret, go. The biased judge must go. The biased judge must go. Go, Claret, go, Claret, go, Claret, go. Stop electoral fraud. Stop electoral fraud. Go, Claret, go, Claret, go, Claret, go. Dear Auntie Claret, what will your legacy be? Dear Auntie Claret, your name will be written in infamy. Dear Auntie Claret, what will your legacy be? Dear Auntie Claret, you're a known PPP lackey. Go, Claret, go, Claret, go, Claret, go. Go, Claret, go, Claret, go, Claret, go. A clean voters list or no election. A clean voters list or no election. Go, Claret, go, Claret, go, Claret, go. Claret Singh must be on the move. Claret Singh, an old PPP stooge. Go, Claret, go, Claret, go, Claret, go. Go, Claret, go, Claret, go, Claret, go. Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. Welcome to another program of BUXTONIAN Morning Time. I'm your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. It is the 23rd day of September in the year 2022 at 7 hours 25. Welcome! I trust you had a great day yesterday, a wonderful night last night, and you're re-energized today to deal with this wicked and vindictive, corrupt cabal, to survive and fight back in this apartheid state. Yes, I hope you are re-energized to remove the stumbling blocks to democracy. I hope you are energized to fight the fight and restore the black man's dignity. Welcome, I'm being poetic this morning, very poetic. Welcome back. Yes, it's Free Talk Friday, so we're going to talk the thing. We're going to talk all kinds of things. We got enough things to talk. Right? This morning I want to know what happened to black people. I really want to know what happened to black people. What happened to black leaders? Where are the coffees and the Akrabe? And the Kwaminers? And the Nanakolis? Where are black leaders? Where is the community among black people? Where is the community among black people? Why black people are allowing themselves to be beaten and treated like common animals? Why? That's what I want to know. I want to know all of that. And I hope somebody can answer me this morning. I should just open the lines and let y'all call and tell me what y'all think. What's wrong with black people? Who is this now? Where you on? It's Free Talk Friday, so doing as I like. Good morning, how may I help you? Well, it's Free Talk Friday, so you would like to tell us something about National Insurance Scheme? All right, well, let me open the lines right away and give you that opportunity, man. Why not? This bar, Jagdo Cash Cow. Morning, caller, your life.
Yes, caller. I wanted to say something about the National Insurance Scheme. I've had the opportunity of opening the doors in 1967 of that organization. Today, I sit here without a pension from that organization. Now, PPP.
Caller, you need to turn on the device in your background. It's being distracted. It's a distraction.
Okay, sorry. Yes, PPP had all intentions of destroying the national insurance scheme. Chelly made it clear he wanted to break the scheme in the early days. I remember we had a struggle with the cane workers who actually injured themselves and then made claims so as to put the burden on that scheme. When the PNC left power and PPP took over, one of the first things they did to that scheme was give their friends loans from those contributions of workers and employers. LaParcan became big out of national insurance loans. They had to pay back any interest. I want the people to know that what PPP is doing now, today, against black people, is what they had planned a long time. Right? That minister that comes on your program, Jordan, this is some of the faults of the government, the AFP and new government response. When I wrote Granger and I told Granger that I wasn't getting my pension, Granger sent me a letter to where I was living out of this country, passing the matter to Jordan. I went down to see Jordan. Jordan never even saw me. He comes and he makes a lot of talk on your show. When he was active, he didn't have an open door. So these are some of the ills of the society. We don't help each other when we're in power. And those people help their people. I'll say that for now, and thank you for the time, sir.
Thank you, sir. Before you go, what year was that loan given to LaParcan? Because I mentioned it on my program previously.
I can't remember, but it's when they came into power, I was not in this country then.
Okay.
But when they came to power, they gave loans, and I know because the person who was heading the department, the NIS department as the financial head, he and I are still friends. So I know.
Do you know the value of that loan that was given to LaParcan?
Pardon?
Do you know the quantum of the loan that was given to LaParcan?
I can get that information for you.
Very well. Our people need to know. Because I did mention it previously, that I know that a lot of these so-called big successful Indian businesses actually got their capital from NIS, right?
Yes.
But I couldn't give a clear list of all of them, you know.
Yes.
So I'd like to know that. Thank you.
Yes, PPP intended to break that scheme. That was their motto, to break it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so we have the ball rolling. You're being told or reminded of something that I mentioned previously. That in all the talk about big businesses and big successful Indian businesses and so on, a lot of them got their start. You know, I just started the program upside down, but let's do it, no problem. I have no problem with that. Call it live, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Happy Friday to you guys over there, all my black brothers and sisters, coalition leaders and members. That caller is correct. I believe I mentioned that on your program too. When Jagan take over the country in 92, LaParcan borrowed billions of dollars from NIS. And when Jagan dead, LaParcan never paid back that money. I got good soul. Oh yes, that call is right. If Mr. Jordan was working then, he should know. But Ramtatan is a man, have to know about that loan that LaParcan take and bill, take black man money from NIS. I only call that to represent that caller. But my thing this morning, I want to let the coalition know, stop wasting time. Stop taking black man kindness for weakness because they do something totally wrong. And I agree with Mr. Mark 2 nights ago. The time you take to go and sit down with this wicked private sector, them who blaming the coalition for rigged election, and who also agree to plunge the country down when Jagdio said that he would tell the private sector not to do business, plunge the country down. When you always said, whenever blind man say you pledge to, you don't get stoned. Jagdio don't go and reach them already telling that, and them agree. That makes Jagdio look at the vomit it out. The coalition is doing totally wrong. Jagdio is using these groups right now for sit down with the coalition for just to make photo. That's all. Because did they come up next day and talk anything wrong thing? Nobody, the government? No. The time the coalition doing that nonsense, protest with you guys. It's 3 men, 4 men keeping, looking after for Guyanese. Matador, it's you, the man in the ring. And Mr. David, where the coalition then? We don't want no more rally. We want protest. Rally don't change a government. It's protest that change the government and bring out election and make that go. When the coalition take office, they must knock out GCOM. For 25 years now, GCOM only representing the PVP only. And they must knock it out, cancel that, and come up with something new. No more GCOM. I always say it. No more GCOM. The fine print. You love to read fine print too, like me. The fine print for them to keep that meeting with the coalition. Jagdio tell them, hey, sit down with them by because money coming, December coming, and we don't want the country shut down. You guys got to make money because we pay not money. Black man love to spend. Black man will spend them last for Christmas. So talk things what they want for here and say yes to what them say. But nothing coming out of that. Because the private sector protecting their business for December. Because they must get a hint that the coalition is planned for shut the country down for the holiday. So them jump to the, where was the private sector all this time for sit down? No, it's time for coalition. We find print and be head of Jagdio. Why Jagdio got to be head of coalition? Coalition is more than one party. Wait, no one cannot reach to the line. That is why the private sector is sitting down with them now. Is to keep them soft and don't shut the country down. I'm looking to see what the coalition doing for the Christmas holiday. Thank you very much for your time. Happy Friday.
Thank you for your call. Well, yesterday I said the businessmen around the city got their interest to protect. And so maybe they went there to sit and talk about how they can protect their interests. This caller might be right, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know these things. I have no idea of these things. I'm not a seafarer man. I see somebody wanted a trench. Well, I don't know if it's a trenchy for sure, but sometimes some people just blow hot and cold. And I'm getting the impression it's a trenchy. The trenchy refers to me as nice man. You know what nice man is, boy? Nice man. That's what the trenchy calls me, nice man. Yes, I'll say this, and I will say this. It is upon us as a people to hold our leaders accountable. If you guys struggle for our leadership, you guys struggle for leadership. One of the things with people, I think, humanity in its own, the human race in its own, a lot of us go for personality as against substance. I don't know if you can separate the two, personality and substance. But in my mind, some people got a nice, charming, charismatic personality, but they lack substance. Right? And in this society, I I'm addressing this society because I know this society. In this society, a whole lot of people go for personality, especially in the black communities. We like personalities. Why do you think Barnum was so loved? Personality. The man is a top man. The man is educated. The man is a charmer. Right? He could meet you where you want him to meet you. He could code switch. Yes. People like that about Barnum. Barnum also had depth. And he understood what it meant to lead not only a nation named the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, but also his people. A lot of people missed what he was trying to teach and lead them to. Right? In black societies, if you are not seen as a talk man, as a charmer, nobody wants you to lead them. Despite the fact that you might have a lot of depth. You might have a lot to offer. So long as you're not the kind of personality that they respect, you're doomed. Look around in this society. Outside of Granger, the PNC had two leaders. Both of them were lawyers, you know. Or two leaders who became president. Both of them were lawyers. Founding leader, Forbes Barnum, was a lawyer. And many argue that his prime minister, Hamilton Green, was his ride or die. According to history, they say Hamilton Green would do anything for Barnum. And naturally, the world was expecting that Hamilton Green was going to be anointed the next president after Barnum. It didn't happen because Hamilton Green wasn't a lawyer. I don't even know what Hamilton Green was outside of minister and so on. I don't know what was his area of specialization. Those of you who are older and more aware can enlighten me to that. But he wasn't chosen as leader. Desmond Knight was another lawyer. After the Desmond Knight era, we came to what the Robert Corbin era. Robert Corbin never got the support of the PNC the way he wanted it, or the way it should have been. He never got 100% support. He never got ride or die support from the PNC. As a matter of fact, rumor has it that one particular person said, "Who? Robert Corbin? Robert Corbin can't lead me." He ain't brighter than me. Right? Robert Corbin might have had the ability to do the job, perhaps, to win an election for the PNC. But he was not a bourgeois, not a middle-class red-skinned man, not a lawyer, not an economist, and so did not possess quote-unquote the qualities that a lot of black people like to see as leadership qualities. And so he didn't get that overwhelming support. And we saw what happened. The fortunes of the PNC kept going down and down and down and down until they reached a percentage that it looked as though the party was going to disintegrate at elections altogether. And the APNU was born out of the wisdom of Robert Corbin. But even though he had the wisdom, the foresight to cause such a coalition to be formed, he still couldn't lead that coalition because he recognized that the party doesn't have that respect for me and will not support me to the hilt. the kind of support that is necessary to win the national elections. So they went on a search for an acceptable national leader, an acceptable leader for the party. They came up with who? A brigadier general or whatever Granger is or was. Personality. Granger is easygoing. He's charismatic. The PPP call him what? The sanctimonious gangster is sanctimonious. And stuff like that. But we like that personality. And they got the support. Everybody threw their support behind that personality. Why am I telling you about personality and leadership? Out goes Granger. In comes what's my name? Aubrey Norton. In comes Aubrey Norton. And the same challenges that Hamilton Green had and Robert Corbyn had, Aubrey Norton has. He's not being supported to the hilt because he doesn't fit the personality traits that black people like in leadership. Sorry, I can't take this call now. I'm on a train of thoughts. Right? And so you're seeing hell. Or some people would say you're seeing hell. The support base is saying enough is not being done by him. Enough is not being done by him. We're not seeing enough. But have we stopped to ask ourselves why this leader doesn't feel emboldened enough to really push the envelope? Here is a man who became leader under tough conditions. He really had to fight to prove that he can lead. And so when you get to the position of leadership now, you have to prove to everyone that you can succeed. And that in itself becomes a demerit, because I dare not try this thing because the possibility I can fail. And if I fail, they will use it to crucify me. Huh? If I fail, they will use it to crucify me. Let's teach you something. I teach you this morning. A lot of people got vexed though, as I teach. A lot of people got vexed as I teach. The Norton that everybody looked to become leader of the PNC is the Norton of the past. What? What are you saying? What are you saying, Mr. Amsterdam? Yeah, it's an honor of the past. In management, we have something that's called responsibility and delegation. I can delegate a task to you, but I'm still responsible for the outcome at the end of the day. As we like to say, the buck stops with you. The buck stops with the leader. And so when Norton was out there back in time, leading protests day in, day out that shut down the city and trying to overthrow the government or so, or trying to cause the collapse of the government, Norton wasn't going to bear the brunt of the responsibility at the end of the day. The buck didn't stop with him. The buck stopped with Desmond Hyde. Maybe Norton was delegated to do what he had to do. He had the delegated authority to do it. But the buck stopped with Desmond Hyde. And so if Norton had failed, it would have been a failure of Norton to Desmond Hyde, but Desmond Hyde would have been seen as a failure. He had to account for that failure. I hope you all are understanding this. Right now, the buck stops with Norton. Norton is the ultimate leader. And so Norton takes certain actions and fails, or delegates authority for certain actions and they fail, he is seen as the failure. And since he knows that he doesn't have the kind of support that is really necessary from his party comrades in and out, I am arguing this morning that he's timid. Something, I don't care. I care, but I usually call it as how I see it. And so some people might be vexed and so. Charlene, you got me blushing, girl. You're too smart and handsome. Right? So Norton might be timid. How do you embolden a timid child? How do you embolden a timid child? All of you or most of you are parents here, grandparents and so on. How do you encourage a child that is timid? In some instances, you have to hold their hands, right? To convince them that, hey, you can cross this strip of wood, you can cross this bridge without falling overboard and so on. You hold your hand. You do that. You embrace them. You reassure them that they have your undying support. Right? Isn't that how you do it? Are we embracing Norton and assuring him, reassuring him that, hey, we with you because we recognize you as a leader of 217 plus thousand people? Are we doing that? And so are we emboldening him? Is 100,000 persons coming onto the streets and say, Norton, come join us in this protest? We want you to lead us in this protest because you are our leader. I take your bet if you got 10,000 people out there and they make that call, Norton will turn out. So we keep asking, where is the leader of the opposition? Where's Norton there? Right? But the Bible story said Norton might be hiding from the Lord. Norton might be hiding from the fear of being embarrassed by his supporters not turning out. Have you ever assessed that? Kinaki Amsterdam has nothing to lose, really, you know. As the host of BUXTONIAN Morning Time, as an executive member of the WPA, I have nothing to lose. So I can go there and risk it all. Can Norton afford to do the same? Y'all answer that question. And then come back and ask, where is Norton? Right? You look to leadership, you look to personalities to leadership. I believe, I am blowing my own horn, I am offering leadership. Protesting GCOM and calling for a clean voters list is not sophisticated. It doesn't call for sophisticated leadership. So even if you don't believe that I'm sophisticated enough to lead the country as president, I believe I'm sophisticated enough though. Right? If a University of IFLOC graduate can do it, what about me? Back to the point. Right? You don't need sophisticated leadership. Quite frankly, you don't need Aubrey Norton out there to lead a protest against GCOM. You need quote-unquote foot soldiers out there to lead a protest against GCOM. When you need a leadership of Aubrey Norton and other sophisticated people, is when GCOM or the corrupt cabal, the apartheid government, is ready to sit at the table and negotiate the terms and conditions of cleaning the list. Right? That is when you need Norton, and that is when you need all those who you consider sophisticated. Putin is not fighting no war, you know. Y'all see Putin fighting any war? I think yesterday I read or I heard that he has called up another 300,000 reserves to active duty. And they got protests in Russia over it. But Putin ain't fighting no war. When Putin will come to the table is when it comes to negotiation time. And we have to understand that just as there is delegation and there is separation of powers, we have to understand that there are different tiers of leadership. Right? That is why in your workplace you have the floor manager, or as they call it, you have supervisor, you have middle-level management and so on. That's the same as you're raising, what should I say, a philosophical question there. Some people believe leaders are born, others believe leaders are made. The case can be made for both of them, I don't know. But we're not talking about that yet still. Right? So I'm saying that, listen. Let us stop for once. Asking where is Norton, why he's not on the protest line. What you can ask is, where are the quote-unquote generals of Norton? Where are Norton's generals? Where are Norton's soldiers? Why they are not on the protest line? Right? And in the absence of Norton or his generals, you look at the protest line and see who is on the protest line, and you determine in your heart, is this person who is on the protest line fighting for what we want? And since I believe the answer is yes, because I believe I'm fighting along with those who are on the protest line with me for what Guyana needs, then you should be backing that fight and stop asking for absent leaders. Absent leaders might be absent for good cause. They might be looking after things which they consider, or things which are indeed more important. Stop blaming. Stop passing the buck. Play your part. Play your part. Because if you play your part, you can demand that the leaders who are absent play their part. The Private Sector Commission can only control Norton as much as the citizens, the followers, the supporters of Norton and the PNC allow the Private Sector Commission to do it. Why do I say that? If hundreds of Norton supporters were to turn up in front of Congress Place and say, come out and let me protest Regent Street, it's come out and let me protest Regent Street. Have you ever noticed when the sugarcane workers, Gaitsuko workers are protesting, as soon as they say, or rice farmers are protesting, or in your Guyanese dominated communities are protesting, as soon as they say elections are come, then go want to vote, the PPP turns up. Have you ever recognized that? They turn up because they recognize it is the people who will determine whether or not they remain party leader and general secretary and get to go back to governmental office and all that. It is the people. So the supporters of the PNC and Norton have to recognize that too. And so regardless of the desires of the PSC, what trumps that has to be the desire and the determination of the supporters of the PNC. What if I just want to rock back, especially on social media? Right? And ask, is there Norton? Is there Norton? Is there Norton? How you are getting what you desire? Cameron can't say throw Norton under the bus. Why not? Everybody's entitled to their own interpretations. I'm sure somebody has seen me throwing an olive branch to Norton, or a life raft in the ocean. How about that? But you see I throw Norton under the bus, it doesn't matter for you. Right? But why not throw an individual under the bus if it's going to benefit the nation? That's a question to ask. Why not? I don't mind throwing an individual under the bus if it will benefit the nation. Jack Dio represents a recognized personal benefit for himself and his cronies. And he threw Janet under the bus. He said, you're a private citizen. You ain't got no right. You ain't got no local standard in what this government does. Isn't that so? Huh? So you could see it how you like. But I'm not speaking out of ill will or malice. Right? I'm not speaking out of ill will or malice. Y'all got to work it out. But on the flip side of the coin, recognize this. If the PPP dresses up a frog, a snake, a crab, a catfish, I say this is the leader, by all means this is the leader. Right? By all means, this is the leader. And so with all the corruption allegations against Jack Dio and so on, the Sugate, and being a philosophical racist and all of that, all of those things that were thrown at Jack Dio, all the mud that Jack Dio should be covered in, it didn't stop or doesn't stop the supporters of his party from rallying around him. Right? Didn't and doesn't. And so the PPP remains unified for the greater part, regardless of the challenge that they have to confront. And so one can argue that Indo-Guyanese, for the greater part, remain unified, rallying around Jack Dio and the corrupt cabal known as the PPP, regardless of the challenges they confront. And they say in unity there is strength. And so you're seeing, for the most part, they are winning. They are winning not because they are better at what they do, but they are winning because the opponent is lethargic. The opponent is not fighting back. The opponent is not unifying and strengthening its base and strengthening itself to fight back. All we do is blame leader. Where's Norton? God damn it. When your father walk out on the family, you don't sit back and die and ask where is daddy. Your mother may do. Roles have to change in the homes. And sometimes when things get tough for daddy, you walk out, he comes crawling back in to the rescue. Right? So sometimes you gotta move past leaders. We have to unite as a people and pull our leaders along with us. I'm going to take this one. Call A Live, good morning. Call A Live, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Are you opening now to the callers to make calls?
Yes, the line is open. You're actually live right now.
Okay, thank you. Going back to Norton and the leadership of PNC, this is a person that I know and I respect, but he don't have the qualities that is needed now for leadership of the PNC. He should be able to motivate, but he's too elite. Now he can get up to the speaker and stand up alone in front of the president's office and other important places, GCOM and things like this. He doesn't have that type of thing. He wants to be politically correct. And that doesn't offer anything in these days. Now, you spoke about Bonham and his leadership, and people admire a good speaker. Those were days of poetic things that had come down from our longing from Britain, that a person must be well-spoken and all these types of things. This is not a different. It's a revolutionist year. Bonham could have jumped from one to the other. Now, he don't have those qualities. He should step down. The man that should have been there is the guy in Linden, Solomon. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your call. This call has just, in my mind, reinforced what I was saying. Right? We look at the personality of the leader. And if we don't see the personality that we want, he can't get our support. Am I right? That's what the caller just tell me. At least that's my interpretation. I hope it was a good summary of what the leader said. And that is exactly the attitude that I'm saying we ought not to adopt. Good? The other people, when they dress up a frog and they say is leader. Like it or not, we have all kind of shenanigans which took place to make the fat guy leader or presidential candidate of the PPP. There are people who were angry. There are people who believe that every day is an embarrassment to their party in the country. But you think they haven't closed ranks around him? They recognize that, hey, this is the ticket to lead the country, this is the ticket to lead the country. Close ranks around him and give him the support. Up until this day, 2 years after, we still fighting among ourselves whether or not I'm too ugly, he too short, he too black, he too handsome, he too good looking, he too charismatic, to allow him and give him the support to lead. We dap on stupidness. Call A Live, good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Kadaki. Good morning, everyone in the diaspora. Good morning, all Guyanese. The gentleman of this call was on target. And I saw a comment about someone saying that we are giving credit to the PPP by not supporting Cumberland North. Let's put it in perspective, at least from my opinion. Accountability needs to happen, and it needs to happen with Irfan Ali respecting the Constitution. Because they cannot disrespect the Constitution and do as they have been doing. And it is as a result of no accountability on the side of the PPP, while we are now in an apartheid state, while we are with 1,480, while we are seeing so much economic exclusion. The PPP has been so unaccountable that they've both been dictatorial and now apartheid-like. Now, let's deal with our house.
Caller, no, don't go there yet. Let me stop you right at the PPP. What allows the PPP to be so unaccountable?
Good. Partly for a variety of reasons, but some of the more popular or germane reasons. Partly because they are based upon a caste-based system. They hate African Guyanese. They subscribe to an ideological political mindset. An ideological political mindset which is rooted in caste.
Caller,
Mind you.
Caller,
Yes.
you missed the boat.
Yes.
The question I asked, I'm not asking what informs or causes the PPP to be so unaccountable. I'm asking what allows them to be so unaccountable.
Oh, you said allows?
Unaccountable,
oh,
yes.
Well, partly because accountability on our part, partly because we do not hold our leaders accountable sufficiently enough, and partly because we allow our leaders to condone what the PPP is doing. Let me explain to answer your answer more specifically. By us allowing our leadership to accept disrespect, violations after violations, then we are saying to our leaders, well, it's okay. You don't have to do nothing. You just take our votes. We give you our votes, and you don't do sufficient. Now, mind you, the coalition is doing some things. They're doing a fraction of what needs to be done. The caller just said, look, some people are good to start the relay race, but they're not good finishers in the relay race. And that's the point, right? We are in a situation whereby we may not have the proper tool for the job. And it's okay. The tool could be used somewhere else. Now, that also brings us, and I hope I've answered your question, is that we, the people, need to recognize that we need to hold our leaders accountable for condoning. Condoning, for example, bulldozing houses, economic exclusion, this amount of death squad killings, this amount of the Constitution when it's been violated. We are condoning. For example, imagine Roxanne George has Curtis Singh has blatantly violated the Constitution, blatantly violated ROPA. And we are doing nothing as the people. We in the street, the grassroots, we have not stood up. Like they stood up in Sri Lanka and said, you know what, current leader, we going down and remove A, B, C, X, Y, Z because they are in dereliction of duty. If you want to join us, fine. Let me tell you something, people, ladies and gentlemen. It is my belief that we can remove the PPP in 24 hours. 24 hours. And let me answer Kadaki's question more specifically. 24 hours and we could remove the PPP. So all of this here we going on with here is condoning. It's allowing. Like Takuma Ogutse said, we are allowing it. Now, how can we allow it and our leaders not be condoning it? Ask ourselves that. And ask ourselves, how much longer, now that we know we could remove them, how much longer do we intend to condone this? See, it's condoning. Who is condoning? Granger. Who is condoning? Aubrey. Who is condoning? Nagamutu, Ramjatan. They're all condoning. I'm not saying they're not doing. I am saying they are condoning by not doing what's required for the time at hand. That's a distinction. So what needs to happen now? They need to step up the game. Now, am I the only one saying this? Or are we all saying this every day? This doesn't mean that Comrade Norton can't improve his game. Of course, there is space for improvement. He needs to get more, pardon? Okay, he needs to get more militant. When Comrade Norton was campaigning, Comrade Norton talked at great length about extra parliamentary activities. And all of a sudden, he don't talk about that no more. Right? So when Comrade Norton was campaigning, he was all for militancy. All of a sudden, he ain't for militancy. So you have to ask yourself, what do you call that?
Thank you, caller.
Again, it's condoning. Once again, thank you for listening.
Thank you for calling. Extra-parliamentary activities don't necessarily have to be protests. Extra-parliamentary activities could be what Norton is supposedly doing, going into the communities and talking with supporters of the party. Right? Let me tell you all something. I don't know about that long-winded answer. The PPP is allowed to be unaccountable because the citizens of this country, of which about 217,000 were supporters of the coalition, are allowing them to be unaccountable. I don't care what anybody says. If the citizens want this government to be accountable, they're going to be accountable because the citizens will take to the damn streets. Stop blaming Norton. Stop blaming Ogonse. Stop blaming WPA. Stop blaming PNC. Citizens to the greater part are suffering. And citizens have the authority, the strength, the power to put this shit to an end. To put it to an end. We always are casting the blame and pitching the ball. We're talking about condoning. If we believe that Norton is not doing right, in his role as opposition leader, it is the citizens and supporters of the party who are condoning his misbehavior. Because again, if they turn up in the numbers and say, we holding you accountable, we holding you accountable. So stop with this thing. Stop with this thing. This is not a David and Goliath scenario, where David had to slay the entire army. How do you, somebody talk about militant? How can I be militant if I don't have soldiers to be militant with? Y'all want a sacrificial lamb, and I keep saying it. Why don't all of us go there to the slaughter? So we could got each other back. Y'all want, God alive, good morning. Good morning, God alive.
You're a bad teacher. You answer the question before you let your student answer.
Oh, you were coming to answer that question?
The PNU government and the PPC is that the PPC followers are ride and die. They will literally prefer to die than to see the APNU AFC back in power. And that is the difference. We have people who is fighting a war on one level, and another set down in the gutter that will do anything and everything to stay in power. The mindset has to change. You can't be good church goers when you're dealing with the whores and the prostitutes in the street. You have to change your mindset. Or you're going to keep your wife, you're going to do what it takes to do that. So if you want to be sitting down and pampersetting and act like you're too good to go out in the streets and get dirty, put your life on the line, then this is what and please stop blaming Norton for this and blaming Norton for that, and he's not doing much, and he's this and he's that and he's that. Isn't there, turn to some add more MPs out there? Isn't there a whole lot of community leaders and this and that? Everybody got titles. Everybody want to be something. Everybody have a position. Everybody have an opinion. But every single time you call for people to stand and back you up, guess what? The same 5 or 6 people show up. And again, the finger, what's Norton doing? What's Norton doing? He is doing what he can do in the capacity that you allow him to do. If you stand behind him, regardless of how you feel about him, I forgot whatever the hell of Viola, I think that's the name. She was supposed to come into Parliament and make a difference and stand up. She came into Parliament, I have not heard another damn thing from her. Why? Because Norton is not your man? Are you fighting for your country? Are you fighting for your life? Or are you fighting for a particular person to be the leader of your country? When y'all get off the bullshit is when y'all going to do differently. It's all about who's this and who's that, and who's where, and who went where, and who was here first, and who was here last, and who started it, and who ended it, and all the nonsense and pettiness. While, you know what? Well, PPPC has one goal, one direction, one initiative. Dominance by any means necessary. and until the APNU, AFC, WPA, all the letters in the alphabet decide that they have one goal, to be back in power, regardless of what it takes. Stop fighting amongst themselves. When the opposition got together and decided that they were
Caller, you're breaking up. Your call is breaking up. The quality of that call deteriorated. If the caller can get a better connection, certainly she can call back. Let me give you an example, because like I said, I like to teach with examples. How many of you saw a video yesterday of, call all the line please. Yesterday a video was making the rounds with MP Nimaflu Best in Mocha. Agents of the Ministry of Housing went into that community with foreign nationals, Spanish people as we call them, maybe Venezuelans, to dismantle a 2-story building constructed by a resident of Mocha on lands that I hear Nimaflu Best and the others are saying are ancestral lands. Just about 2 weeks after the fat guy went into the community and was welcomed. Let me not deal with the welcome part, but let me look at the number of people who came out to welcome the fat guy. And let us look at the number of people who came out to defend the property of the black brother in Mocha that officers of the Ministry of Housing was breaking down. I am sure that there would be, if I check this morning, 1 million comments on that post by Nimaflu Best. But there weren't 25 persons on the ground there to form a human barricade and say anybody put a hammer to this building, all of we gone so and so dead. I didn't see that. Black people have to come to the point of realization and understanding that unless we unite against this oppression, all of us going down one by one. Unless we stop paying attention to personality for leadership, all of us going down one by one. Nimaflu Best is a beautiful individual. Beautiful in character and everything else. I am sure she is well liked in Mocha. She was out there. And she was pleading the cause of the owner of that property. How many were standing behind her? How many were standing behind her? Even those who were out there, they were not up close and personal behind her like we got your back. They've been 10 feet and 20 feet and 30 feet away, shouting their individual condemnation. Black people got to wake up. I am sure in the days of Nana Colley and Dan Kunchin from Buxton, blood is shed in there. I can't say the same thing for modern Buxton because I don't know the rest. Right? But these are the things I look at when I decide to attack that black people they put stupidness. We too divided. We need a community spirit again. I don't know where it has gone. Some of it was sold for filthy lucre. But I can't for the life of me for the life of me, I cuss all day or all afternoon yesterday. And I pray for come and cuss this morning because you are there for stupidness in Moko and stupidness in Linden and stupidness in Victoria and stupidness in Buxton and stupidness in all the black people community where the people is allowed to send the goons and come in and do nonsense to you. People have to be prepared to lay their life on the line to defend their dignity and stop asking about this leader and that leader and the next leader. A lot of our African Guyanese communities have a proliferation of guns. You could always hear some black brother shoot some black brother lash some black brother in the face with a gun, some black brother threaten some black brother for murder with a gun. But yet in these very communities, people, foreigners in the instance of yesterday, come in and broke up your assets, take away your assets, and these guns ain't going to use. You're not using them to protect yourself and your community, but you're using them to destroy your community and yourself. We demonstrate this. You know the blood, sweat, and tears, the sacrifices that went into the man building the two-story structure. I think in any decent society, even if we were in error, some arrangement would have been made for him not to suffer that kind of loss. But here we are in a black community that we say is ancestral land, and the government bullying people, and y'all taking this shit. I guess y'all want Abinand to come down there and form a human barricade to stop those officers from breaking it down. I guess y'all want Abinand to look to find Aaron wherever he live and give you some warning that this shit ain't gonna be tolerated. Their leaders and their followers. And the leaders can only be as strong as the followers. Call it life.
Thank you, Mr. Gadaki. I totally agree with your frustration. And I want to agree with your last caller. I mean, you said the right thing. We are so stern with each other. But when it comes to bringing out your aggression on the oppressors, we do not see a positive response. We want, like, whoever trying to criticize Mr. Norton. Mr. Norton is not doing enough. Mr. Norton is not doing this. Look around the world. The opposition leader is not in the forefront. There's no opposition leader. It's the people. The people is the strength. Don't worry with opposition leader. We sit here and we complain all the time when we criticize people for making constructive criticism. But you sit there waiting on somebody to fight your battle. You are damn right. Now, we, the Guyanese people at home, they sit, they accept, and they bless. Now, my question was yesterday, how do you remedy the situation you're in? How do you remedy it? How you correct it? From my point of view, because I am a person, I don't waste time. If you are in a relationship, this is what Guyanese are in. They're in a relationship that the other party do not want you to be part of. You're fighting your hell you're fighting your head off. 6 races in Guyana. Oh, Guyana got 6 races. The other part of Guyana don't want you to be part of that community. What do? Instead of being in a relationship that it's no way. We can talk from now till whenever. Whenever the Indian government is in power, they're going to brutalize you. Why are you still holding on? Why would you be in a relationship, an abusive relationship, whether man or woman, and you're seeing it in front of you, displayed in front of you, that you're not welcome in this relationship? Would you still fight to be in a situation where you know to yourself, yes, I'm supposed to be in this environment, but the other part don't want you? What do? We are making a big mistake. From my point of view, I don't care what nobody say. Guyana, and I support some of your callers yesterday, Guyana needs a revolution. There needs to be a separation. It will not work. It will not work. 53 years, and we still at it. We still at each other's throats. Both parties were asked to change the constitution to allow each other to participate. None of them did it. When they get out of office, somebody else takes that position. Would they do it? They will not. Would they try to remedy all the wrongdoings? They will not. The courts are corrupt. That's the main institution in Guyana. There's no courts. There's no laws. That's a failed state. Would you be able to remedy the situation when you're in a position to do it? They will not. The black brothers and sisters that are in the security forces, would they help to enforce the laws, the lawbreakers? They will not. Mr. Kadaki and viewers, you have to sit back and look at the situation. Is it the right situation that we're in Guyana, in terms of apartheid state, in terms of a racist government? No, we're not. It's not going to work. You give it 100 years, it will not work. We're wasting time. The minute you start saying it can't work, because how are we going to divide the resources? That's your problem. That's your problem, because that's what you think you're holding on. Do we have it now? Do we have the resources now? We have nothing. Are Guyanese enjoying the sweet of the oil that is being pumped right now? You still ain't getting it. So why would you think we can't separate? Because how are we going to share the resources? That's ignorance, because you're getting it right now. You're getting 1% of it. Guyanese ain't getting 1%. The average person on the ground ain't getting 1%. So why do you think that separating gonna make it worse? It's not making any sense, Kadaki. And the more the African people still holding on to this so-called to them is that Guyana has 6 races and we belong together. It ain't gonna work. It's not going to work. If you don't have laws to enforce what is being wrong there right now, it will not work. Because when the government change, as I asked, would our security services, would our courts, are they willing to remedy all the wrongs that were done? No, they will not. They will not. We are wasting our time. The more you holler, I want this relationship to work, is the more abuse you're going to get. When the government change, they will abuse you more. By the time the PPPC is out of government, I am not even sure if ancestral lands that were bought by our foreparents, if there will be any more. And would our so-called representatives, would they be able to return those lands to the rightful people? No, they will not. They will be afraid. They will be afraid to touch it.
Call the wrap
They
up,
will be
please.
afraid to touch this situation. Mr. Kadaki, thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you for calling. Caller raised a question about ancestral lands and our representatives. Again, I am saying the people, if their leaders are misbehaving, are guilty of condoning it. Granger had a lands commission in this country. A COI had into the issue of lands and land distribution in this country. Nobody has seen that report yet. All of these African Guyanese associations, organizations, and so on. I haven't heard a public outcry. I haven't seen anybody protest in front of Grange House and say, bring the blasted report, we want to see it. Sorry for the strong language, but I feel strongly about this issue this morning. Nobody has protested up to now, as far as I'm aware. They said, Granger, we want to see the report. Whether it's favorable to us or not, we want to see the report. Taxpayers' money was spent for the COI. Likewise, the recent so-called investigation by the RSS and the government tell you they're releasing report. I haven't seen anybody in their numbers go in front of the Ministry of Home Affairs and say we need to see this report. It is of national importance to us. But how are we doing? It's casting blame left, right, and center on one man. He's shaking we head. Call A Live, good morning.
Good morning, Kanaki. 2 questions. And if the government changed, can Roxanne George be fired?
If she can be fired?
Yes.
Everything is possible under the sun. There's something that's called a Judicial Commission. And look, every time I think about our people in this country, I get sick. Not every day you see my sickness as I'm exposing it this morning. But there's what you call a Judicial Commission. And it is there to oversee the behavior of judicial workers. And when they misbehave, complaints have to be taken to this commission. And if we hold them accountable and we hold the commission accountable, a lot of them will not misbehave the way we think they are misbehaving.
I understand that because I live in the diaspora. And the Guyanese people are holding on thinking that the people in the diaspora is going to do something for them. We're miles away. We cannot do anything for them. So the first thing they got to put, the most we can do is complain to our Congress people. And how much can the Congress people do it when Mike Meeks is who's in charge of every ambassador that comes to Guyana? That's the first thing. We're not rid of the PPP. The PPP are paying Mike Meeks in Queens. And that's what we are going to fight for that. But coming down on the ground, which I'm very proud of what I'm seeing you doing, protesting the GCOM. The Guyanese people got to get out there behind you, and they're not doing that. They're looking for the people in diaspora to do everything. We cannot. We're too far apart. And the first thing they have that in the mindset, that the people in the diaspora is only going to talk and highlight, but the actual physical work, they have to do it. We cannot. We're too far. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Coffee, you're challenging people to talk militancy. Come and lead the charge. Come and lead the charge. One lived in the US, one lived outside of this country for quite a while as far as I know. And he came back here and got politically involved and was eventually murdered. Because he came up against the system. So you have to stop telling people what to do. Come and help us do. Call it live. Call it live. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Beck. Issue is, again, 200,000 plus individuals, and they're blaming one man. One man is supposed to solve all the ills of Guyana. There's something wrong with that mentality. Mr. Norton has a role to play, but every single Guyanese citizen that is discontent with what's going on in Guyana have a role to play. Everybody's fighting for position. Everybody's fighting for a name, a cause. If you are in any part of the APNU AFC, and now the WPA, because I guess you guys decided that y'all going to support as the opposition. It does not matter who that leader is. You throw everything you have behind them. You ask why the PPP is getting away with what the things they do. Answer is because its supporters will die. They would rather die than see a black man sit in that seat again. And that is the difference. We're talking inclusion, and we're talking shared governorship, and they are talking execution of the black race in Guyana. So we need to start thinking in different terms. How we're going to survive genocide, because that is what it's going to come down to. We're sitting down talking about Mr. Norton this, and he doesn't have this, and he doesn't have that. Behind every great man is his supporter. And what he doesn't have, you guys are supposed to be out there fulfilling it. They're 30-some odd MPs or whatever. And where's the Viola woman that was supposed to come into Parliament and make a big difference, a great difference? What happened? Her man didn't get to be the leader of the opposition, so all of a sudden she fell out? Then you need to get the seat up. If you are too good to go out there and stand in the hot sun and protect for a better life for yourself and your children and the constituents that fall under you, give your seat up. Give it to somebody that don't think that they're too good. Give it to somebody that wants to be out there and make a difference. Please. Point finger and finger blaming. Everyone needs to take a deep breath, sit down together around a round table that is in the opposition, and have open discussion about how you are going to survive the genocide that is coming to battle in, and because I am telling you, the population will rather die than see another black president sit in that seat. They will take a illiterate and stand behind him. Or they take a progressive, forward-thinking, educated black man who will uplift the whole nation, including our poor Indian brothers and sisters, the indigenous, the Chinese, the Portuguese, the mixed races, and everybody else. They will take an illiterate and stand behind him, lay their life down for him. Then take someone who will move the whole country forward. So please, stop blaming Mr. Norton. Look in the mirror, point your finger at yourself, and blame yourself because y'all are sleeping. It's not me, it's not my problem, it ain't my family. The man in Mecca yesterday, he pomposetted, he went and pulled his two papayas off the tree. Me, I would have go slam in the fucking house and let it bring the house down on my head. End of story. You worried about your livestock and all that? They would have literally had to kill me in order to get me out of my home that I spend money and time to build. And then that jackass show up and talk about you must come to housing. If you come to destroy a man's home and you have paperwork that says you have a right, you should have brought it with you. But you know what? Why they were there? Ms. Bass was there, they were out there cooking the papers up. You have the power to stop those people from breaking that man's home down. I said, okay, give him a few minutes to come up, but y'all have no heart, y'all have no integrity. Y'all have no sense of right or wrong. There's no humanity left in you. And your own, you look them in the eye. The PPP never turn against their own. You always stand on their own, whether they're wrong or right. But it's your brother that you're breaking his home down with whatever little he has in it. But y'all realize something? When it comes to brutalizing black people, they are set people. So they can't say the PPP is black man against black man. It's black man doing it to each other. And y'all willingly follow black officers, black members of government, and y'all are destroying your own people. But my brothers and sisters, y'all are laying there sleeping. Y'all laying there thinking that somebody's going to save you. Nobody's going to save you. You need to save yourself. You need to save yourself. Y'all have a good day. At least try to have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, caller. Voice note.
Morning, Kidaki, morning, viewers. Kidaki, mataka, write all the time. People's power, naga no dictator. All them public servant people.
Call over the line.
What you see get knock off in the 2 weeks, them should have bring the country down. But then still sit down with them heels and them stockings. And them a call pan nothing, them a call pan this, them a call pan that body. Let them blame themselves. Let them blame themselves. I say them all the time. Cat piss and pepper on the street, protest non-stop, and bring them raws down. I totally agree with my sister, that caller. She's on track. A tired people's power have no dictator. Organize, unite, mobilize, and take to the damn street. Take to the street. Kidaki been calling a protest. How long? How much people are go there? Kidaki and you're not to show no protest. If they want to see protests, let them go there. Have a great weekend.
Call it live, good morning.
Good morning, Kadaki. That voice voice message here actually hit the spot.
God, I need to speak up.
Somehow, yeah. Good morning, Kadaki. That voice message you got to just hit the spot. What I'm trying to tell you is that everyone is sitting in their house and they get in the message. Like you guys have about like 6 programs a day people can watch on TV. So everybody getting the information in their house. They're not coming out to support no movement or nothing. Another thing, Kadaki, you ever stop and think that maybe you guys need, the WPA need to separate themselves from the PNC? Because on record, only Dr. Hinds was criticizing the APNU government, and he has a right to do it now. And it's time now that you, Dr. Hinds, have nothing to do with the PNC, Kadaki. You have Winston Jordan, you give him a whole program. If he was still in government, BK would have owned half of Guyana by now. And you still give him time. You separate yourself from these people. You are the WPA. Stick to that until you have 2.5 years. And you're gonna make WPA gonna make a difference. Please, they don't have these people on your program. They are corrupt. All of them get charged. PVP and PNC people, all of them corrupt. Let the WPA stay away from these people. Don't have nothing to do with the PNC, Kadaki. You and Dr. Hinds can build a movement. Next election, you have 2.5 years. You can get 6, 7, 8 seats. You're gonna make a difference there. Please, Kadaki, stay away from the PNC. Thank you.
Thank you for your call. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. Voice note.
Kadaki, I like the point that you raised this morning about
call over the line. Call over the line.
The parliamentarian Nima flew best. I was watching that live, and there was a other lady that was she was just telling the people to come out and to, join against these people. And you could have counted the number of people that was there to represent their own. And that is the point that I'm saying. We black people, we're still in the slavish mentality. And just a few dollars, they give some of them and give them a little handout here and there, and they feel that the PPP is doing the world, but they're not looking at the suppression that we, the black people, are going through. You were there at GCOM, and 5 of y'all were barricaded. Where were the rest? Even though they could not have gone behind the barricade, they should have been outside of the barricade protesting. But no, they're staying away. And look, you had the cricket carnival and all of them gone and jump up like everything is okay. When the PPP has an event, we saying black people go in and show, and mind you, we're saying how things bad. But yet they're finding the money to go and support these same events of the PPP and the PPP cronies. And that alone is telling us where we are going down as black people in Guyana. Gone are the days when we used to jump out and protest. They need to the job, the this, the that, the tarot. So when the international world looking in, they're going to say, it's only a few. The majority of the people is for the government. And that is what they doesn't understand. But they want we in the diaspora to plead the cause. They want Rickford Burke and Mr. Hinds and Ben Schkop and them to go and must be pulled down Congress to look at them when they themselves are enjoying the suppression.
Call A Live, good morning.
Hello?
Call A Live, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Filaki. Good morning to the listening public. Listen, Ranger might have had its fault, right? But he was on the ball when he omitted forces like Walter Lawrence and some people in the party, right? I think when you get to a certain stage, you must not represent the people, right? She has done nothing for the coalition since she went into power, since she went into parliament. You haven't seen her. You haven't seen her face. All where you might have seen her in or selling where she goes to shop, right? Nothing, right? And these people need to stay away from politics because they are twofold. They need to stay away from politics, right? Our people need to get their acts together because we're not going anywhere. When you pass by certain businesses in the night, you would see large amount of black people by the Guinness bars and so forth, just partying and sporting and those things, spending money. When you tell them to go out and protest, you don't even see one of them. You don't even see one of them. And they all park up with the cars, blocking the place. You could barely drive through. But to go and protest, you can't see them. That's my contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your call.
Kadaki, I like the point that you raised this morning about the parliamentarian Nima Flubes. I was watching that live, and there was another lady that was she was just telling the people to come out and to, join against these people. And you could have counted the number of people that was there to represent their own. And that is the point that I'm saying. We black people, we're still in the slavish mentality.
Good morning, Kadaki. Good morning, Kadaki, and viewers and listeners. Brother Kadaki, we have to disagree to agree on this one. I don't believe, and it's in my opinion, that the opposition don't have that numbers of 200 and something thousand supporters anymore. That was during the election. The numbers are lower and very lower than that. The opposition leader have to work and let his work be seen, or work clean and let his work be seen. He has to be militant, and I'm in full support of what Kofi said. He have to lead from the front. When Martin Luther King and all these people used to go and protest, he used to lead from the front. The supporters follow. Stop defending this man like this man. He has to come out there and let people see he's working. Not going running on the bottom house and meeting people on the bottom house, man. Look.
Good morning, Kadakian listeners. Mr. Norton, Mr. Ramjatan, and the leader of the WPA. The three of them should get hailers like you and leading their own protests. And then the people going to come out. You should be going also to the villages with the dominant and generating the people to come out. That's the only way things going to happen.
Good morning, Kadaki. Now, do you guys ever realize, since Norton started this press conference thing, Every Tuesday, he goes out there, what he's doing? Complaining, complaining, complaining. He's telling his supporters what Jack Joe is doing. Jack Doe is doing this and Jack Doe is doing that. Never one day I can remember he says or saying what he would do to prevent Jack Doe from doing what he is doing. He's not saying that. He's not talking about, okay, let us form a delegation and do something, go to the US or United Nations or do something to, no. All he's doing, going out there and complain. Watch Tuesday coming what he's going to do. Go and complain of what Jack Joe is doing, but not telling the citizens or the supporters what they are going to do to prevent Jack Joe from doing what he is doing. Look when the PPP was in opposition. They was on the road, on the streets, toppling car and all these things, and the Pegasus, and all these things they're doing, right? With the finale. Now he's in power. All he's doing is complaining. So look forward for next complaint next Tuesday. Bye.
Kadaki, good morning. You know what the two last callers said is absolutely on point. You know, if you, Dr. Hinds, Rickford Burke, and Mark Benchcup, if you people just take 1 week, don't say nothing to Guyanese that feel that y'all have to look out for them, and they don't have to look out for themselves because they could jump on it. On the phone and see what is going on and know what is going on. I need y'all people to sit and think about it positively. Leave them on their own. Let them see and feel what it is when you do not stand up for what you believe in. I feel we're going to get somewhere. You leave them on their own. Do not give them information. Do as if you're not concerned about what is going on with them. You will see a good move, because Guyanese people just lazy, most of them, in their thinking. They want people to go out there and stand up for them, fight for them, while they find themselves in this, they dance hall and all over the place in their numbers. You can't stop them. Well, they would have been, if I had my way, they wouldn't hear nothing, and they would have to live with the oppressors and be oppressed until who can't take it. The fittest will survive, and who can't take it, they will die. Leave them alone. I think it is time people think that way. Thank you.
Caller, thank you for holding. Good morning, your life.
Yes, good morning, Brother Kadaki. Good morning to all of you and listeners. I would like to appeal to the diaspora, because I'm feeling that most of these people who are calling and saying that people the politicians are not doing anything, and I think it's people in the diaspora. And the thing is that I think it's better to use the energy to appeal to the friends and families back in Guyana to come out and join whatever protest it is. Because they can't say politician, they can't say, they can't call you a politician. They can't say people who are politically affiliated, like yourself, are not going out there. Because we see you've been out there practically by yourself yesterday, and our people already came. And the thing is that these people in diaspora, they should be calling their family, their friends and families in the country to support these kind of things. We see, like you said, the MP, Joe Best, she was out there in Maka, and no one joined her, right? So the thing is, and she's a politician. The thing is that, like you said, like you rightly said, that if people come out, the politicians will fall. There are only so many politicians, but there's so many more people So the people, again, I would like to appeal to the people in diaspora. Instead of bashing Arby Norton and other politicians saying that what they should do, what they shouldn't do, because first of all, you don't even know what they're doing in the background. Because I know Arby Norton, he's been saying, he's been meeting diplomats and all these people from all these stakeholders. And he has been saying things in regards to what's going on in the country. So, but there's only one Arby Norton, and there's only so many politicians. So the people, and the people is the strength. The people needs to come out. And so again, diaspora people in diaspora, instead of criticizing politicians and all these our leaders and so on, call the people out, call your friends and family, tell them, let them join Gaddafi Amsterdam in front of GCOM, wherever he's going out there. Tell them to join the other politicians like Nina Best when she was in Mocha and other politicians all over the place. And they could come up with and say they don't have to go, they don't have to look for politicians to do so, because everybody's feeling it. Everybody have a situation going on in their community. All they have to do is organize their communities and they come out. And the politicians will follow. That's my time. Thank you.
Thank you for your call.
The Parliament here.
Good morning. I'm not getting in onto the program anyway. Kadaki, I would like to put my 2 cents. Now, everybody from the diaspora, in and out of the diaspora, always calling and criticizing. You may be vexed when I say these things. Now, we, the couple faithful few, would go out there and protest. And we going out there. Them in going, them in there. And they still keep pulling us down. What more they want us to do? If we get minds like them and say, you know what, we ain't able with this thing we're going on. Everybody criticizing us for the little that we are trying to do. It's only a long one down. Out there, you know. And these people must stop calling and criticizing. We are doing our best. Imagine on Tuesday, I was in the dentist chair in the morning. And by the time afternoon, 3 o'clock, little after 3, I found my way from West Coast to Georgetown to be on the protest line. I came out there again yesterday. Nobody know what I had to go through to get to the thing. And when we, the faithful few, come out to protest, to hear all these things of these people, it is breaking our spirits. We're doing our best. And if they feel that we ain't doing good enough, we gonna know what to do. Let them come, all of them in the diaspora. Oh, we in the diaspora. And whenever they come to Guyana, you don't see any one of them coming and say, you know what, I am here, and I come and let people, I'm not here, but I'm here now, let me take. No, they don't come. But when they go back, oh, I was in Guyana, and I'm in the diaspora. Now the next thing I notice, I think is Amanza carry some charge for Barlet to be, must step down for the charges with the true investigation. If this thing happen when Barlet is in power, the only body who got immunity from being interrogated and taken to court is the president. And the president got the thing named impeachment, because once you're doing wrong as a president, they do your impeachment proceedings while you are in government. And so you can still carry on investigation on a sitting president. Barrett has no immunity as vice president. He has none. So I don't see the need for this woman, Amanza, to call for him to step down to carry out his investigations. And when you see you do those things, you are showing them that you are fearful of them. Back to the to QC I think they took it down because a lot of people voiced their opinion on the racist behavior of QC. When we all know that many people at QC were, after the white people went, were the Africans, because those schools used to take people from the churches into the school, and could the people never got to church. And now some of them think I could remember as a child growing up. If you wanted to be a teacher, and all the schools were church schools, they had to leave the Hindu and the Muslim and become Christians, baptized, get a Christian name to become teachers in the church schools. And QC is a higher church school, so they were not there. They get in there after Barnum come and open up them schools and open up the runnings to them to get in there. The same Barnum who did us call and cuss every day, bye-bye.
How is it people were able to get the QC alumni or whatever they call the association to take down the video? How is it? Small victory, right? They stood together. Why can't we stand together for greater things? Vice Lord.
Kadaki, good morning. That caller was spoke about the black people partying at Guinness Bar and thing. How the white man get most of the black people on the ship? Music. Black people like sport and they're going to sport to the death.
I hate when people use Martin Luther King as an example. I disagree with Coffee, and I disagree with that guy who agreed with Coffee. Don't use Martin Luther King talking about leading from the front, because Martin Luther had the people behind him. That's why he was able to lead from the front. The people supported him. He had the crowds out there with him. You ever see Martin Luther King have a protest or a march and he's doing it by himself? Why should he have to? So why should Arby Norton have to go there by himself? And if the people don't want to stand up for themselves, to hell with them. He don't have to stand up for them either. Imagine how black people wicked are. They would actually accept Irfan as a president, but have all the excuses of why Norton shouldn't be a leader. Oh, he doesn't have this quality and he doesn't have that quality. But they are superdunks. Black people just like sufferation, boss. So I don't want to hear Coffee talking about what Norton should do and what qualities he doesn't have and all these ignorance. You feel me? If Irfan could be the president, any cat or dog or louse could be the president of Guyana. So I don't want to hear them making no excuse when it comes to a black man as a leader.
All I'm doing, I'm playing the voice notes there in the program. Good, so there are no other voice notes. And I won't be taking any other call either. But let me talk this thing. Y'all know me, my mouth boss. You see the caller that said the WPA should have nothing to do with the PNC? I don't know him. I don't know him. But I can say to you, that is the desire of the PPP. That is why the likes of Freddie Kissoon and Raviwa, whatever his name, Singh, Ravi Dev, and all the PPP apologists are constantly hitting at the door of WPA, accusing WPA of betraying the legacy of Rodney and forgetting how the PNC treated the WPA and going into bed with the PNC. That is why they are always slinging mud at the WPA. What they want is a fractured relationship between the WPA and the PNC. Why? because they realize if the WPA and the PNC work together, you have a better chance of unseating the apartheid government. History is a great teacher. History is a great teacher. And we must always look to history when we want to go forward. Granger was spaghetti. Caller, you're live. Are you calling to go live? Caller, you're live. Yes. Granger was pig-headed. True to the arrogance of Granger, the relationship in the APNU became fractured. But go back to history. After the coalition was formed, or when the coalition was formed, the PNC was down on its luck, if you call it luck. From 40-something or 50-something% support, they went to what? 24 or something like that. But once the APNU was formed, the support of the PNC rose again. Or the electoral support. Because quite frankly, since it was the APNU, which included the WPA and the PNC, you couldn't say if it's PNC support or WPA support. But the political support for that grouping, APNU, came all the way up from PNC's 24 or whatever it was to 30-something or 40-something. Right? That was in 2011, I think. I hope I'm getting the years right. It showed that grouping, that formation of the APNU, the PNC and the WPA working together, improved the electoral showing of that section of the society which they represented. The AFC joined them in 2015. In fact, don't let them go to 2015. As a result of that formation of APNU, for the first time in 20-something years, the PPP faced a minority government. Remember the Donald Ramatar government? They did not enjoy the majority in parliament. But previously they were enjoying the majority. But once the formation of the APNU with the WPA and the PNC happened, and the AFC on the outside, the PPP was a minority in government. They won the presidency and they formed the cabinet because they had the most votes as a single party. But in parliament, they were a one-seat minority. And so they couldn't have their way. And the opposition made up of the AFC and the APNU at that time threatened to not support their budget unless certain concessions, if I can call it that, were granted. And instead of that, Ramatar said what? I will, what's the word? That's suspend parliament, but basically it was a suspension of parliament. And his government could have survived for so many months with parliament suspended. It's not suspended is the right word. I'm not remembering it right now. Right? And so they were forced to go to elections. The AFC joined the formation of the APNU. That is why we ended up with the APNU-AFC. What happened? History happened. The PPP was removed from government after 23 years, 23 plus years. They were removed. It didn't happen with the PNC staying in their corner and the WPA staying in their corner and the AFC staying in their corner. It happened with unity. In every government, there's misbehavior. I don't know if Mr. Jordan is guilty of the charges you are laying at his feet. Not being a people person, not having an open door policy, etc. I don't know if these charges laid at his feet are accurate. I don't know if Mr. Jordan is guilty of giving BK everything that he asked for. Or was it a cabinet decision? You see, in many instances, the people are the face of the decisions or the people who have to execute the decisions. They take blame. But do we check to see where the origin of the decisions are? Jordan couldn't wake up one morning and say, I'm going to give BK the seafront wharf or whatever. It had to be a position of the government. Right? He could wake up one morning and he said, me ain't able to see nobody this morning at my office, yes. But the bigger decisions had to be a decision of government, not Jordan. So I don't know why y'all laying these blame at the feet of Jordan. And again, I'm saying, if Jordan individually made these decisions and they were made to stand, then the government condoned it. Just as if we're saying that the leaders are condoning certain things or are doing certain wrongs, the supporters are condoning it. The person who said that, listen, the support for the opposition is no longer 217,000, fair enough. Even if it is way less than 270,000, fair enough. But where are they? That's the question. I know they ain't 5, I know they ain't 10, they ain't 15, they ain't 20. Where are the hundreds? Where are the thousands? The scores of thousands that stand behind the opposition? Where are they? I see somebody talk about the PPP not fighting fear. They got opposition supporters under spell. Am I not an opposition supporter? Many instances the spelling is our mind. Only the PPP knows about spells. Black people are feared around the world as the greatest of the workers, they call it voodoo. So if we think that, hey, there's a spell over us, or over some people, we are the voodoo workers. I'm just getting facetious, if I can call it that. You think that WPA is happy with everything that happens around the PNC and that happened in the coalition? As a matter of fact, the WPA was the first to separate itself from the coalition. And that is why you see rallies advertisers APNU, AFC, and WPA. Because there's still a recognition of that separation. But there's also still a recognition that we need to work together in some way, shape, or form if we are going to stop this beast known as the PPP. So division is not necessarily, division and separation and apartness is not necessarily the answer to this problem. What is the answer? Is that while we are working together, we must hold others accountable. We must hold each other accountable. Are we willing to hold each other accountable? That's the whole issue. Unless Guyanese, more particularly opposition supporters, are prepared to get off their laurels and bring public officials to accountability, make them, hold them accountable. This ain't changing. This ain't changing. Y'all are saying here, y'all separate yourselves from the PNC and do this thing alone. I'm a known WPA leader. Some people are like, yeah, I support the caller. I'm a known WPA leader. I've been out in front of GCOM for 6 days now. We are all these people who say WPA should act on its own. I see y'all behind me. As a matter of fact, some of y'all come on these programs and talk about WPA being dead and comatose and all kinds of things. You change the narrative when it suits you. And that can't help the situation. It can't help the situation. We got to hold one head, as we say. Just like the other people, if they put a flag on the table and say, this is king, everybody embraces that frog as king. When are we going to get there? Yes, prorogue is the word. Thank you, Henry Rodney. When are we going to get there? Until we are prepared to get there, as some would say, bite the bullet, we stop tossing the blame around. Right? I ain't got no problem. I tell you all every day. Let Claudette sing to me. I am sure I can handle Claudette. I'm glad for the support because I got somebody out there watching my back. At least I hope so. Right? I keep telling you all the numbers don't matter to me, though. It ain't got to be 100,000 behind me. All I want to know is that they got a couple people out there watching me my back. I could deal with Claudette. But Claudette is just one stumbling block. Are you prepared to struggle after Claudette has been removed? Because when Claudette goes, the first struggle is to get somebody to replace Claudette that is credible and will hold their own. And let me explain the importance of getting Claudette to go. It opens up the entire process for the selection of a chairman of the commission, and the CCJ ruled that there must be meaningful consultation on the selection of that person. And so once that process is opened up, it gives the opposition, the leader of the opposition, a meaningful role to play in that process. And so the possibility is we can influence who now sits in the role as commissioner or as chairman of the commission. That's only the first step. You still have to continue to struggle to ensure that the commission will come to the point of having the list cleaned. Y'all think it's an overnight struggle? No, it certainly not is. It certainly is not. Let me be real. And that is why I spend time to try to bring understanding to these issues. It's 25 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. You can't say you have not had a good 25 minutes extra. What I do hope is that it was worth the time. I'm reading your comments in case you're wondering, but the program is practically finished. I'll see you guys on Tuesday for protests. WPA is the only realistic party in Guyana right now. That's what Claire is saying. But I don't see hundreds of thousands of persons behind the WPA representatives. Are you seeing them? We only talk in this thing, we live in it. Goodbye. Enjoy your weekend. Oh, for those of you who are aware or would like to know, Annalisa Lacan, that's the girl who died in the accident a few weeks ago. Annalisa will be buried tomorrow. Her body is going to be moving from Jerick's funeral home, then to her former residence, and then to the missionary church at Buxton, Milwaukee, then to the Buxton Cemetery. I repeat, Annalisa will be buried tomorrow. Her body will move from Jerick's funeral home to her former place of residence, Buxton Front, then to the missionary church, that's the Arundel Congregational Church on Milwaukee, Church of God Road as we call it, north side, and then to the Buxton Cemetery. Spread the word. Lots of people have been asking. Goodbye.